Enthusiastic. Hey, Cheryl, I sent you another email. I need you to just look at it and anyway, if you need to call me, give me a buzz.
All right, and Wade, we are live on YouTube and on Zoom.
Fantastic. Hello, guys. I'm excited about today. I'm going to talk a little bit about offers and about uh, how we present them, how we come up with them, that sort of thing. I'm going to share my screen with you guys, and you be thinking of some questions that you might have for me, regardless of whether it's about today's topic or what have you, as long as it's funding. We're going to talk about the offer process once initially. So once the funding application with all the requested documents are sent to us, and that includes the bank statements, the driver's licenses of all the owners on the application, the voided business check, the file goes through what we call pre-underwriting by the Bank Breezy team. And by the way, some of this, sometimes the file's really good, or whether even if it's not, and we just can't get our hands on either the driver's license or border check. As long as we got the statements, we're going to get it submitted. We're not going to hold it up for that. So we do our own pre-underwriting, which is requested by the lender partners, and we look for several things. Number one, the revenue amount over the last 3 or 4 bank statements. We look at it. If we see that it's probably a seasonal business, then we're going to automatically um, uh, request from that client an entire 12 months of bank statements because we know that it's seasonal and it's not going to be known by the underwriter unless we tell them. So we look for that. Number two, we look for the number of NSS. We look for and negative bank days. That's really important because we know if it's right on the line, 5 or 6, we're going to go ahead and submit it. But if it's crazy, like 7, 8, 10, 12 negative bank days, now you might have 30 negative NSF, but they may have all come on one day, and we have to look at all that and decide if it's we can have 30 that because of one check that bounced from one of their uh, clients that was when they were paying for whatever service they had. We look at all that. So, but even if there's anything in question whatsoever, we go ahead and submit it. We're not going to we're not the final underwriters. We're just kind of scraping through the file to make sure it's not blatantly going to be declined. And then we look at the uh, business start date. I mean, we have to because so many of them will put today's date as the business start date. And if we don't, then it's going to automatically be declined. And we got to go through the whole process of getting it out of the decline section and resubmit and doing all that. So we look for that and get it all worked out beforehand. We also are making sure that the application signed by every owner. If there's 2 owners on the application, we got both of them have to sign the application, and it's all electronic signature. We get that done. Then we want to make sure there's at least 51% ownership that is shown on the application. Sometimes we have where there's only 20% here and 10% there on 2 different apps, and none of the other owners want to sign, but they'll give a board resolution. So those are all the things we're doing behind the scenes before we ever submit to the lender. Now, once offers start coming in, we wait for all the lenders to respond. And if they're slow responding, then we're going to contact them and see what the issue is that might be stalling them that didn't stall the other ones. As we talk about all the time, every lender is not best for every file. So we're really tailoring this for your client. Now, once we have all the offers, or at least 75% of them submitted to lenders, then we're preparing the offer to be presented. Now, we may go back and contact these lenders and say, listen, I got 2 of you almost identical. How can you make yourself unequivocally better than this other offer? And a lot of times I get them to extend the payment by 2 months or lower the rate or do stuff like that. And we have a system that we use to do that. the client is initially called by us because we want to talk to them before we just send the offer. Can't get them on the phone after a couple of tries, then we're going to have to, go ahead and get the offer out to them. We don't want to just sit there and hold it. When we call them, what we're trying to do is find out when will they be in front of a computer so that we can go over the incredible offers that they received. Again, if there's no answer, then we're going to text and email the offer in advance and try to work it through that. Here's what your offers look like for your clients that we're sending. Here's an actual offer. Great news. You've been approved for up to 109,000 in the business growth funding. This funding can be in your account as early as today, and is designed to help seize opportunities, expand, or simply breathe easier during a critical season. We call this seeding the opportunity. In other words, we're going to be talking about, hey, what are you going to use this money for, and just really get them involved in the offer. Sometimes they don't even want to talk; they just want to say yes or no. But this is what we try to do. Now, in this particular case, it's a 12-month deal. So once you make your first 26 weekly payments, you'll be considered a client in good standing, which often unlocks additional stage funding with even better terms. What we're doing here is we're setting and seeding the stage for future fundings. That's why we get so many renewals. Many of our clients return for more as they scale, and we love rewarding loyalty. We've also added a unique bonus. You're eligible for our Connect Cash referral program, a way to earn extra cash simply by referring other business owners like you. Just ask us. So every paragraph there's an intentional statement being made to seed them for future funding. Now, here's the actual offer. These are two of the offers that went out. And the sale rate is a 123 for the 109 and for the 59. They qualified for this. As you see, the lender fee is totally waived. And then we have all the early payoffs and all that we go over on the phone. Now, this particular client doesn't want this much, so they might want only 20,000. If they do, we got the offer down to a 117 rate. It's certainly one of our core rates. And you can see that that's a 6-month period right there. Or we can get them to 12 months at a little bit higher rate of the 123. So that's how the offers go out to them. And once the client accepts the funding offer, we request funding paperwork from each lender partner that's sent, and then they send it directly to the client. They don't send it to us. They're not going to send it to you. And if you have your email as wanting to receive the information, which some of you have been doing, it's not going to go to them because it's got to be an email related to that client. And trust me, there's a system you can use to see if that email is pertaining to the client. If this is an A-lender offer, then as in many cases, the client's approved for online checkout, and they're sent their portal reset where they actually change the password and and put whatever they want, and that gives them access to their portal so they can always follow their funding and know how much is owed on it. These are for the A-lender offers only. Then once they open the portal, they accept the funding, the funds are automatically wired after the signatures. A-lenders do not usually require funding calls, bank verification, or really any other steps. I do know if they ever ask for a bank verification, which is 1 out of 100, it means that they see something that we may have missed, and they're just going to make sure that maybe this file came in 10 times and they've already seen it. Well, it wouldn't be that much with an A-lender because they wouldn't fund it then. But let's say it came in a half a dozen times. Then they're going to make sure that they're not being double funded. When it comes to the B and C lenders and all the others, there can be additional required closing steps with some of the lenders, and these steps may include, and always do include, bank verification. It could be a link or manual. What I mean by that is that some files are really risky, and the lender will only accept manual login where they literally call them, get their username and password. If they won't do it, then they're not going to fund it. But we use bank verification links, but there are some banks out there like small credit unions and small community banks. They're not on the big system that links either Decision Logic or Plaid. And if they're not um, compatible with those, then we will again have to do a manual login. Sometimes we'll let the banker send us their month to date, and what they're looking for. We want to make sure they haven't already taken funding, so that we don't get double funded. They're going to make sure that their month to date they're not crazy off from what they are accustomed to, and they're still on schedule to. I mean, in other words, they want to make sure it didn't drop off the face of the earth. Sometimes they need proof of ownership. That's usually the last filed tax return. That's the easiest, or an EIN page in some cases. And then they may ask for invoices or AR just to make sure that they're still in business and they're going to have future revenue coming in. And then it's funded. Once it's funded, uh, that we know from each lender that we have a pretty good idea of when the funds are going to hit the DAC account, and we let DAC know that. And we're pretty much right within usually a day, almost all the time. So that's how we go about it. We're constantly looking at that file. My phone just rang. This is an underwriter. I asked to call me back. She's the head of the whole department, and I'm gonna call her right back because we got $100,000 offer. They gave us the best offer, but they had daily payments. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to uh, present to her the other offers at weekly that are. I'm not even going to talk to her about how much they offered. But I said, they're all weekly. Why am I getting a daily here? And how can we change this so I can present your offer? So we're constantly working with each lender to compete. They already know they're supposed to, but they don't know what the other one's going to present. But once we get them competing with each other, and by the way, this all happens in a matter of 30 minutes. It's not like it takes a whole day to do that. We get what we want, and then we go to them and say, I need an answer now. Can you compete? And they said, give me 5 or 10 minutes and we'll get back with you. And they go back through the file and do so. So that's a little bit of a tidbit and a tip for the week of how we go about doing things here. And that makes us so much different than having to work directly with somebody, especially these DNC guys. I'm telling you, they they're not going to give you their best offer unless they know they have to, and they won't get any of our business unless they give their best offer to us. Any questions or anything in the chat, Morgan?
Yes, I do have a quick question in the chat, and then we'll go to AJ with his hand up. But I thought this would be a good example for you to touch on. Marty says, I'm working with an interior designer. Her income fluctuates month to month. She transfers money from her brick and mortar bank to several online accounts to segment her money for different purposes, like bills, etc. Should she just submit the brick and mortar bank statements? Also, depending on her workflow, she may get paid $1,000. She may get paid $35,000.
Yeah, she's going to have to do wherever the transfers originate. You're going to have those last three. I mean, you can send them all to us, and sometimes I just ask to send them all, and I can explain it. But you're going to have the last 3 months of bank statements, or four if they're in one of the states that require it, of where all the money originated from. I have a file that we got in yesterday, and it looks on the surface like a great file, but it's nothing but transfers in from another bank account. So we got the bank account, and in that bank account is another company name, and nothing but transfers into that one. So it's kind of a long trail of transfers, and nobody's going to count that as revenue uh, because they can't prove where it got.
All right. And let's see, AJ, you can go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hello, Wade. How you doing?
Hey,
I got a question about the seasonal businesses. And the reason why I asked this is because I had somebody submitted an application, but then they went straight to Giggle because it said they had it, they made less than 10, they made 10,000 in one of those 4 month periods. So when it comes to the seasonal businesses, do those seasonal businesses have to have the 15,000 a month in the last 4 months? For example, a landscaping company coming out of winter, would they have to have that 15,000 a month because they would just get sent straight to Giggle when they fill out that application?
Well, here's the deal. If they're a seasonal business and they're in a season where it's really low and they want money to get kicked back started, they're going to look at the payback months. For example, right now, the payback months, if you get a funding, is June, July, August, September, October, November. They're going to look at all those from last year. So we would wind up getting those 12 months to show that it might be seasonal, but they're coming out of the season. But if they're going into the season where it's slow, then it's just not going to work. And if in the last 3 months they got uh, anything less than $10,000, we're not going to be able to help them today. It may be another 30 days we can help them with the larger ones, unless they're coming out of their season and entering their productive season. That's the whole key. Uh, it is what season are they entering? It's, for example, seasonal taxes. You got companies that do nothing but seasonal taxes. They're not like an accounting firm that does continuous uh, revenue every single month. Well, we know that between April and October is their season, and if they try to get money outside of that season, we're going to look at what they did for those payback months to make really sure that they can actually afford to take the money that they take. The whole thing is we don't want these clients to be put in a worse position than when they found us and discovered us.
Gotcha. But like for example, that landscape, if it was a landscaping company and they're coming into a good season, coming into the productive season, but their last 3 months were coming out of winter and they didn't have the 15,000, that form seems to automatically send them to Giggle if they put less than 15,000 in the last 3 months, like it did
No,
that.
I understand. Yeah, I understand that because, well, by the way, landscaping, that the season's already been here.
Yeah, I know. I'm just giving an example.
Yeah,
Because
yeah. So
businesses.
9 times out of 10, uh, if that happens, they contact us and they want to know why. And then after a conversation with our team, we'll decide whether or not we need to pull them out of Giggle.
Okay, so I would have to actually contact the person when I get their email if I notice it's a seasonal business and then get in touch with y'all if y'all can help them. Okay, the form will still.
That's correct. That's
Gotcha.
exactly right.
Okay, understand. Thank you.
I guess that's everyone. Cheryl, would you mind giving me a call? And you got my numbers, right? Okay, thanks. Anything else? I think that's it. Guys, thanks for being here. I remember tomorrow, 11:30. I'm assuming, Morgan, that David will be conducting the merchant services, and then of course tomorrow night at 7:30, my main man Nick and I are going to be conducting the business opportunity.